After qualifying, the fastest 32 begin the competition proper, and in each round the slowest half of the field drops out. For instance, the fastest 16 from the first round advance to the second round, from which the fastest 8 carry on, etc., through until the final. Now, this afternoon we'll see the qualifying section. Last year's winner Paul Adams of Auckland is not back in the field this year, but many other top drivers are. Tony Teasdale, for instance, and a man better known for saloon car circuit racing, Reg Cook of Manarewa, the National Gold Star champion who has his Datsun Sunny back in the Ashley after finishing 5th last year. The commentators at the Rally Sprint are Tony Palmer and former National Rally champion Mike Marshall.
Thank you, Peter. And on the course at the moment is number 1 in our second qualifying round. This is Brian Walker, who was last year's runner-up. He had a practice round this morning after hasty repairs on the car of 1:18.36. Came back with a first qualifying round of 1:17.95. He'll be looking to improve that. He has improved substantially from the first one. And Mike, it really looks like it's the downhill section that's telling the tale.
Yes, the times have been very much the same on the leading cars up to the top hairpin. After that, we've seen some remarkable differences with some of the slower cars being up to 3 seconds faster on the downhill stretch.
So we'll give you a split time, 45.2 to the top, the hairpin bend where the tyres are, and you'll see the comparison of how fast these cars are downhill. Reg Cook this morning, in fact, was 3 seconds slower than another car, but still came out with a faster overall time. So some of the cars are better qualified uphill and some down. Looking for Brian Walker now as he comes round the finish line, approaching him. It looks like about a 13. 1:13.8 for Brian Walker in his second qualifying round, and I would think that'll qualify him really quite comfortably. Our times will not be official. In fact, we're using the same timing equipment as the officials, but because theirs is in hundredths and ours only to tenths of seconds, there may be a minor difference in the small decimal points. But it will be a fairly accurate guide, and that really is so far inside 1:13.8, the qualifying time that we have unofficially, that Brian Walker is well in, I think, for tomorrow morning's 32 starters. Tony Teasdale, a man who now lives in Auckland, used to live in Tokoroa, one of the best known rally drivers in the country. It's an RS 2-litre, an RS 1800, bought out to 2 litres, a BDA motor, 16 valves per cylinder. A very competitive rally car, and one that, Mike Marshall, you've had quite a lot to do with over the years.
Yes, I've been driving the RS cars ever since I started rallying back in 1971.
Look at his time up to the top of the hill. Around 45 is a fairly good guide and a good time to the top of the hill. But as we said, there can be up to 3 seconds difference in the downhill stage, so somebody may not have excluded himself by 47 or 48 seconds to the top of the hill. Tony Teasdale, a very experienced driver and by far the quickest qualifier so far. His first practice run was 16:06 and his second 1:13.9. He's had 43.9 to the top of the hill. That is very, very quick indeed. We'll expect him to be under 1:13 for this. Mike, he's really got it under control, hasn't he?
Yes, Tony's very determined to do well today. The sponsorship that he's got does not include the Motorguard Rally, and he's looking for a very good result today to justify further sponsorship involvement.
Already the quickest qualifier today, and Tony Teasdale didn't really need that time, but 1:11.7 is a beautiful time. Tony Teasdale from Auckland in the BDA 2-litre Escort. He's happy with that run. Tony Teasdale, he really didn't need that run. He had 1:13.9, which would have qualified him comfortably, but he's obviously looking for quicker ways round the course. And the course, of course, is getting quicker as the day goes on, as the top surface is strung off. Howard Collier, another Auckland man and a well-known rally driver, one of New Zealand's better-known rally drivers, but has been out of proper rallies for quite some time. He's always been a very quick man in sprints, though, Mike.
Yes, and this year is his first year in the Master. He's normally driven an Escort. Always goes quick in hill climbs, does a lot of hill climb work up around Auckland, is very keen on the shorter sprint-type rallies.
Just as an indication, 3rd in the 78 TV Rally Sprint, 3rd in the 79 Maramuru Rally, 3rd in 1980 in this Rally Sprint, and 16th in this Rally Sprint last year after he had a little bit of an off. But always a competitive sprint event man. We'll have a look at his time to the top of the hill. He's tried a number of different ways to get around that tight hairpin bend at the top there. That's a little slower than he was this morning, 46.3. That'll put him around the low 15s, perhaps into 1:14 if he's lucky. should still be enough to qualify him. And as he said a few moments ago, all he's interested in doing from this run is getting in that 32 for tomorrow morning. Pick a number, Mike. I think it's going to be low 14s.
Well, I'd say it'd be 15.
15 dead. Howard Collier, 1:15 dead. He had 1:15.9 in the first qualifying this morning. That will put him through comfortably, I would think. So Howard Collier, I think, will put in fact, the first three men, as they were seated, should all be in quite comfortably. Brian Walker, Tony Teasdale, Howard Collier. Now we have Barry Robinson, who's another very quick man in sprint events. This car is not it's not a twin cam Chevette. It's a single cam 2.3 litre car. But Barry Robinson's a competitive hill climb driver. He was seeded 4 in this event. He had 1:17.06 on the practice and 1:15.88 on the first qualifier. So he would be qualified already on the current times for the first round. He probably needs around 1:15 at this stage to put himself comfortably in. We're not looking at borderline cases in any of the first 5 or 6 drivers.
I would think that 1:15 would be within his capabilities. This is the first time he's used this car in a rally sprint with a 5-speed gearbox, which is a big advantage on the tight, twisty course.
There's good traction out there too, though, at the moment, Mike.
Oh, very good traction. Most of the loose has been thrown off during the practice session and the first run.
44.9 at the top of the hill is quite respectable because a Chevette traditionally has been quicker downhill than most cars. We'll expect it to be in 1:15 quite easily, I think.
Yes, I think he could even be down around 1:14 or 1:30.
Going exceptionally well downhill, Barry Robinson from Wyndham. This Chevette beautifully prepared and running nicely too. Well, Mike Marshall was right, 1:13.1. He's taken over 2 seconds off his first qualifying round. And that really makes the competition interesting now, Mike, because we've got a number of people improving considerably, so our sums before may be all to pot by the time we come to look at qualifiers.
Yes, well, it would seem that each of this second official run would be at least 2 seconds quicker than the previous round.
Peter Farrell up now in an RS 2000 Escort. Now this Escort is a single cam engine. It's a 2-litre single overhead cam, as you'd find in a Cortina, although modified considerably. It's not a BDA motor. Around 190 horsepower you can expect out of one of these motors modified. And quite a good clubman's car and a good national round rally car. They're very reliable and about 50 horsepower down on the BDA motor.
Peter Farrell was a bit worried this morning about his traction, and he's talking about lowering the back of the car a couple of inches if he gets through to tomorrow's final.
Peter Farrell on the down, still on the uphill, look for his time at the top. At that hairpin corner where all the tyres are, quite a difficult corner to get round, in fact, without losing some time. 47.9's not really quick enough in terms of being competitive overall, but it may be enough to qualify him. All sideways on the downhill piece. I think this might be good enough to qualify him. Had 1:22 in the practice, 1:17.5 in his first qualifying round. You want to improve on the 17.5. 17.1 is a slight improvement and enough, I think, to put